Hi guys, it's Nicole, and today I am sharing my take on sketch number 9. This is from the sketch bundle from Allison Davis at Scrapbook Generation, the 6x6 paper pad one-page layout sketches. Sketches for 6x6 paper pads, one-page sketches, the class is what it's called. It's a mouthful. The Facebook group, I'm pretty sure they're done. I think they did week 20 last week. I am very far behind, but I'm okay with that. Not really putting any pressure on myself to even attempt to try to hurry up and catch up. I love using 6x6 paper pads and these type of sketches, so I am choosing to just kind of navigate my way through it in a slower pace in between some other things. This is typically the time of year where I start coming up with all kinds of different ideas that I think I want to do. But between being a procrastinator and somebody who starts a lot of things and doesn't finish a lot of things, I'm trying not to kind of give myself squirrel syndrome. So for sketch number 8, I had some not great cell phone pictures of a game night that we did at my neighbor's house, and we had played things like the Whisper challenge game where like you have to put headphones on and try to figure out what the other person's saying, and Uno with my kids. And then kind of when all the adults had arrived, we were playing Cards Against Humanity. If you've ever played that, you know that's not a kid-friendly game, even though it's hysterical. And I just had my phone with me. I wasn't going to bring my camera for something like that. But I had enough pictures that I could do a layout with. So I chose to kind of modify the sketch a little bit in the sense that on her sketch, she's got a horizontal 6x4 photo and then two 2x2 photos. I switched it up and I'm including 5 2x2 photos kind of going along the side of the large element. This one also featured 1-inch squares of pattern paper. I just kind of pulled from some different paper pads that I had. One of them had these cute little like rows of houses, which to me leans into the kind of neighbor theme. And then I know that I'm going to be using a sticker sheet from a collection that is geared towards playing games, but it's more family oriented. So I just tried to make sure that I was pulling stuff as far as colors that wasn't going to contrast with that color palette. I'm not trying to match it. I'm just trying to not like throw something like hot pink in there where there won't be any stickers to kind of match that. This is a trick that I do when you have a lot of small pieces. I will attach them to a scrap piece of cardstock or a piece of like printer or copy paper. I find it easier to do that because then I can kind of trim up any edges that are maybe not straight. I can move around one piece instead of all those little pieces. And this is just something that I think I kind of learned during the 2-page layout class, especially the hexagon layout. I pulled those things up off of my background sheet so many times that I had to redo my background, and I just kind of got in the habit of attaching it to a separate piece of paper and then being able to have that kind of act as one large piece that I can move around and figure out where it's going to go. I did modify this section as well. She had 4 rows of squares above the photo and then 1 row of squares below the photo. I added a second row below the photo just because I wanted to fill in some more space, and I was planning on scooting my title down into that area and using taller letters. And then her stitching, she has shown on the sketch like just like squares, like square stitching in some of the different pieces. I don't know what was wrong with me this day, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna take it up a notch. This is another one of those layouts that I dragged around my house, and while I was waiting for something to bake in the oven, I sat at the dining room table and stitched a couple. I took this thing to school pickup, sat in my car, stitched a couple of them. I just kind of went with some of the design elements that were on my pattern paper. So for like all the pink pieces, they have little hexagons stitched on them. The brown ones just have squares. The teal color, I did kind of like just diagonal stitches, kind of like sweater looking. And then the other ones I left blank. And then these are where I brought in some extra photos, and I just kind of have them going up the side of the layout. And I moved these things around so many times because to me, things either need to be completely lined up or completely like tilted and whimsical. And when you combine the two, my brain just kind of shuts down. As far as embellishments, I didn't really have a plan. I knew I wanted to use this sticker sheet. This is the point where I realized that she had like a stripe strip going along the left edge of the big element. I didn't have a striped piece that was going to work. I 100% prefer that, having like a striped piece or even like plaid or something that has all the colors that you're using to go over there. I didn't have that, so I grabbed a scrap of black cardstock and used a border punch on it. And I felt like this was going to be able to tie in the fact that I was going to use black cardstock to die cut some letters for my title. There's black in the text pattern paper, and then when I do my journaling, that is going to obviously be black printed text as well. So for me, it was just kind of easy to just, let's just go with some black cardstock and call it good. I actually really like having something like this on the edge of an element like this where you have lots of small pieces of pattern paper. To me, it just finishes it off. If I left it open, it would bug me to no end because it just wouldn't feel like it was done. I started to kind of play around with the stickers, and then I was like, no, hold on a second, because I don't really know exactly where I'm going to have my title and stuff like that. So I paused there and switched over to figuring out what I was going to do with my title. I pulled out a bunch of different alphabet dies, and I ended up changing my mind after I thought I knew what I was going to do. I ended up going with one of my favorite sets, which is this tall, skinny one from Scrapbook.com. And I meant to go and look and see. They're running like a bunch of sales right now on what they're considering card making supplies. And a lot of times that includes dies. And then because these are their brand, a lot of times they will run a sale on the full set. And I'm trying to see if I can find it quickly because I'm kind of hoping that they're on sale. They just came out with 3 new fonts. And one of them is kind of like a little scripty, like handwriting kind of font. Okay, so it looks like the tall, skinny one where you get the capital and lowercase is on sale for way more than half off. They're normally $75. It's on sale for $30 right now, but it's out of stock. But you can do the notify me, and I think you get an email or a text when they are back in stock. The tiny little letters that I'm stacking right here, these I think are from a Mama Elephant set where you make like a little like message board. I've never used the message board. I always just use the little tiny letters. And then for all of them, I stacked 3 layers with black cardstock and did my little DIY thickers, aka dickers. If you haven't made them and you haven't said the term dickers yet, you're missing out. Like, it makes me laugh every time. And it's one of those like relaxing processes that I like to do. It kind of breaks up the more creative part of a layout, and I like doing the repetitive type thing every once in a while. So this was a good break before I got into figuring out embellishments and stickers and stuff like that. So basically my title is Get Your Game On. I more often than not struggle with titles. If I can't find a phrase on the sticker sheet or the cut aparts for a collection, my go-to is I will ask my group chat friends if they have any suggestions, or I will pull up Allison Davis also has I don't know if it's a book or a class, but it's a giant PDF about journaling. I think it's called Writing to Remember. She talks about all kinds of different ways to journal, but there's a entire section of the book just for titles. And I tend to pull that up and I'll look through things like family, friends, game. I use the find feature where you just hit Control F and I'll type in different phrases. And she actually had a whole section on games. And so I just kind of settled on Get Your Game On. And then typically with a longer title like that, I like to break it up and do some of it with small letters, some of it with large letters. I would have normally done different colors, but because where the letters are sitting, they're sitting on a bunch of different colors, I was worried that it would get lost. So that was kind of why I went with black. And then I dug through all my die cuts. I just have a basket of like random die cuts. I looked through, this is my leftover binder, and tried to see if I had anything that was kind of like game themed. I found a die cut that was an Ace of Hearts that I pulled out and decided I'd go ahead and use that. Everything else I ended up just pulling from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet that was like a family game night themed collection. I can't even think of who it's from. It's been a few weeks since I actually finished this layout. Today is the day that I'm sitting down and not only am I filming a Workspace Wednesday of cleaning up and doing a room reset because it's the first of the month, I'm also attempting to edit as many videos as I can, kind of in between. I'm on my third one today. I've got 3 more to go. I might wait and do them tomorrow. Kind of waiting to see. But my room has kind of gotten to the point where it's not that it's even that messy. It's more of it's making my brain feel cluttered. And I want to jump back into creating the collections. I want to jump back into the 6x6 series. There's another series that I'm debating about doing. I might put a poll up and ask you guys. So yeah, feeling kind of cluttered and like buried under a bunch of stuff is making me feel like, okay, I need to sit down and I need to really go through and put things away, do a detailed cleanup, and then kind of start fresh. So back to kind of my process here, I just shoved and tucked various things here and there. I kind of ignored anything that was family related, and there was a ton of stickers on this sticker sheet that involved the word family. So I just kind of picked things that were more generic, the little like game pieces, the soda bottles, and yes, I say soda, not pop. I know that's probably a regional thing, so I'm wondering if anybody else on like the western part of the US, if you guys say soda, because I think pop is like a southern, eastern, Midwest, I don't know. Let me know down below if you say soda or pop and where you're from. But yeah, I just go through and I kind of look at the color of the sticker and kind of the level of if it's generic enough to not contrast with my specific layout. At this point, I went over to my computer and I typed up my journaling. I chose to just do journaling strips because I knew that I could kind of squeeze them in here and there. And that by doing strips, you're able to still see what your background elements are between the strips. So like if I had done a block, it would cover up some of those squares. Whereas by doing strips, you actually see the different colors between the journaling strips, if that makes any sense. And I did go through and I'm going to pop them up with foam tape. Somebody recently asked me about this trimmer that I've been using. It is the Creative Memories trimmer. I bought mine off Amazon because, like I've said before, if you can throw it at my door in 2 days or less, I'm on it. It showed up in 2 days. I really like it. I think with any trimmer, there's a little bit of a learning curve because the other trimmers that I was using, I had used them for so long and doing repetitive things like journaling strips. I knew exactly where they were going to cut. I knew exactly where to visualize, where to line the blade up. So I'm kind of having a little bit of just trying to figure out where it's going to cut. This one I kind of have to think about cutting closer to the top of a row, whereas the other one I would think about cutting closer to the bottom of a row. But yeah, so far I'm loving it. I think maybe twice I didn't put enough pressure and cut all the way through because that was something I worried about. But so far it's been great. If I can find a link, I think I can go back in my past orders. I'll find a link. Obviously, if you have a Creative Memories rep, buy it through them. I didn't really know anybody and I was already ordering other stuff on Amazon, so I just threw it in my cart. And then I finished up my layout with just some yellow Nuvo drops. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am hoping to work on sketch number 10 this weekend and finish up my scrap room projects for the month. So with that, I will catch you guys later.